Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Sal, and this is another expedition log. Today, we are going to Scotland, Pennsylvania. More precisely, we're going to Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, to the Chambersburg Mall. Every summer, I play a music festival in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, at the university. And they get the most amazing classical soloists, and we put on these fantastic shows with an amazing music director who tours around the world. And they really are something. They're fantastic. But in between those shows, each week, there's really nothing to do. We go to a couple of dive bars. There's Orkies and Wibs and Shipping Place. And sometimes we'll get a hot dog at Sheets, play poker. But when we really want stimulation, we come out to Chambersburg. Chambersburg Mall, it used to be, the whole place is 63 acres, and it used to be orchards and farms, but they still have cows. Tons of cows. Everywhere you look, the whole place smells like cows. And frankly, at this point in my life, I associate central and southern Pennsylvania malls with the smell of cows. And Bonton. Whenever I see Bonton or hear Bonton, I think of southern central PA malls. So check this out.
Try us on for big savings store-wide. Come on, try the Bonton Anniversary Sale. Try us on for stepping out and stepping up, for turning heads and second looks. Try us on. Try us on for your favorite weekend wear, for the look that fits your style, for the value that feels right, for everything you need. Try the Bonton Anniversary Sale. Starts Thursday. Your fashion store. The Bonton.
The Chambersburg Mall was opened in 1982. That's when it was built. The founding developer was Crown American Mall Developers. And the mall has a total leasable area today of 454,350 square feet. So it's not a huge mall. The mall only had two original retail anchors. It was Hess's and GB. At the same time the mall was opened, the Carmike Cinemas, they also opened as well. So that 454,000-ish square foot number, that's today in 2018. Because again, they only had two original anchors. In 1985, an expansion was realized to bring in Irelees. So they built on another addition to the mall. Irelees became Bonton later. They were acquired. In 1990, the downtown Chambersburg Sears. There was a location in downtown Chambersburg for Sears. They shuttered and they moved into a brand new space as this mall's fourth anchor, which added another 56,000 square feet of leasable retail space. Okay, so take a good look at this right now. This shuttered retail space. Shortly after the Sears expansion took place, in 1992, the Hess Company shuttered. What you just saw, that used to be Hess's. That's what that retail space was. So in 1992, the whole company folded. But in downtown Chambersburg, there was a JCPenney. They heard that the Hess Company shuttered and they wanted to seize this opportunity. But it took them 6 years to do it for some reason. So in 1998, JCPenney, they scheduled a move into what we just saw to the right, into that anchor. Now, their old downtown location was 40,000 square feet. The old Hess space, which is now directly in back of us, is 60,000 square feet. So once JCPenney actually did move into this space, they added 10 employees, and that brought their total store employment to 100 employees in 1998. And for the entire mall, that being the fourth anchor, it brought the total employment to the entire mall to 1,000 employees, according to Ron Formosa, who was he was the senior regional manager of the Chambersburg Mall as of March of 1997. Now, I'm just going to reiterate that that entire thing took 6 years. JCPenney's knew that that space was open and they wanted it for 6 years. But going back to 1992 for a second, this mall saw a shift in two of its biggest anchors. So back in 1992, one of the original tenant anchors, GB, that whole company folded, and Value City acquired that whole portfolio. Value City moved into that building. Okay, so in 1992, we saw a couple of things happen. Sears moved in, okay, around that time, but we saw GB, they folded. And we also saw the Hess Company, they folded. Those were the two big department stores of this mall. So this was the first huge loss. Okay, so we have a lot to cover in not much time. In 1998, there was a shooting in this mall. Some lady was roaming the mall, shopping. She was just doing her thing, and she saw some guy that really pissed her off. Apparently, she went back out to her car, grabbed a .22, and she came back into the mall, found the guy, shot him once in the belly, shot him once in the shoulder. Now, if you look straight ahead, we're coming up to the middle of the mall. That's where it happened. And so once she shot the guy fell to the floor and he started crawling towards the Bon-Ton. And the lady was still kind of standing there and he wasn't dead. So the director of mall security, his name was Kevin Miller, ran up to the lady, disarmed her, and de-escalated the whole thing. Now, there were actually first-hand accounts of this, one of which was Roy Ingram, who owned the Electrolux vacuum shop, which is right there. And this guy gave his whole account of it. Now, the cops didn't know why this lady shot this other guy. But it was later discovered that they've been divorced for 12 years and that she's seen him just walking around Chambersburg. They live close together and it would just piss her off every time that she would see him. I'm not laughing. It's not funny. It really isn't. Like, this sucks. The guy lived, so it's okay. And that's where it happened. You see the middle there, the flag, the bonton, that's where the whole thing happened. But the thing is, they didn't close the mall when this happened. So this guy got shot right there, right in front of the bonton, and mall security was like, okay, we'll put up some tape, people walk around it. At the time, there was a bunch of teachers right there on stage reading to children, just taking turns reading books to kids. Her sentence for this, $300 fine, between 7 and 20 years in prison, a 1-mile restraining order, and $30,000 of restitution. So this started off the entire drama that ensued at the Chambersburg Mall. A couple years later, in 2001, some dude walked in and robbed at gunpoint the Citizens National Bank. A couple years after that, this is when they decided it was time to cut their losses. So the Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust, PREIT, they used $170 million out of their $500 million line of credit to pay off Crown American Developers credit line. Now, this was a merger. And during the merger, PREIT acquired Chambersburg Mall, among tons of other malls. But the thing about it is that out of that whole line of credit, guess how much it cost PREIT to get Chambersburg? $39 million it cost them for this mall. 1 year later, this mall rescinded a long-standing policy that said all kids 16 and younger needed a parent with them at all times. That arcade we were just in used to be in Aladdin's castle, and there was an account of a parent dropping their kid off so the parent could go shop, and the parent was about to leave, but there was actually a bouncer in the Aladdin's castle that stopped the parent and said, you have to be with this kid. At the same time, there was a council that also let a policy expire that said two police officers needed to be in the mall on weekends at all times. A couple years later, in 2006, 2 guys robbed the Finish Line store at gunpoint. In 2007, they had a chemical warfare simulation. They had some fake chlorine bomb that went off underneath of a Hummer and made a bunch of pedestrians fake it, and it was a mess, and everybody was running everywhere, and they failed miserably. In 2008, the Value City, they folded. That's when Burlington Coat Factory came in. In 2009, U.S. News and World Report named this mall one of America's most endangered malls. In 2010, 3 dudes unsuccessfully robbed the Bell Jewelers. They tried to rob at gunpoint, they ran out, and they got caught. In 2011, they had a fire drill. It was successful. In 2010, some dude stole $5,000 worth of jewelry from K Jewelers. Then in 2013, PREIT, they were suffering a loss on impairment of the assets at Chambersburg amounting to $23.7 million. They sold the mall to Mason Asset Management for $8.8 million. They took a huge loss, but they knew that they had to sell it because this mall was not doing well. In 2015, we saw the JCPenney and the Sears shutter. Black Rose Antiques, which has a couple of locations in Pennsylvania, they took over the old Sears space, but as of right now, JCPenney's is still shuttered and uninhabited. I'm sure I'm going to be playing a concert next summer in Shippensburg, and I'm sure I'm going to be visiting this mall. And I really hope they make it, because if they don't make it, I'm not going to have anything to do. And as you can see, there's no food court. There's never been a food court. There's no Subway. But I can tell you for a fact that I have bought concert clothes at the Burlington Coat Factory that you can see to your left. I'd like to thank every single one of you for watching. And to all of my subscribers, of which we've just surpassed 220, you're all rock stars. And if there is something you liked about this video, please like it. And if you hadn't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because there's way more content coming and the videos are going to get better, I promise. Take care, everybody.